Hello and welcome to Absolutely Marvel and DC. I've caught Dan off guard. He was playing Epic 7 when we started this one. So Dan, it's time to talk about Flash Season 7 episode. What episode number is this? He's so not ready for me to start this.
I was like, I don't even have my audition named yet. Oh, goodness.
Welcome to the show, Dan. It's been a little while. Yes. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just noticed how freaking bright my curtains are that I'm just completely pale. I'll just hold my hands like this.
All right. Well, so Flash episode, Season 7, episode...
I want to say 8, yeah.
Okay. The Trial of Killer Frost. So, as usual, I'll give you guys a rundown of exactly what happened. Once again, we're going to be talking about this. So, if you feel like, hey, I don't want you to spoil it for me, why are you watching our review and analysis of this episode? So, this episode was primarily about the actual trial of Killer Frost. And it's the first time in a long time. So recap-wise, the two plot points were we had Killer Frost going to jail. They wanted to remove her powers. That was... What is going on with you over there, Dan?
I know. My camera just decided, hey, I don't want to focus. And at first I was like, I'm sure the fans would probably enjoy not seeing me. But...
So it starts off with we're doing the trial of Killer Frost, deciding if they should take her powers or put her in jail. And on the other side, we have Barry Allen and... was it Cecile? I think it was Cecile. Hunting Fuerza.
No, it was him, Iris, and the Speed Force.
Oh, right. Okay. Where was Cecile doing?
Cecile was doing the trial. She was the lawyer.
Oh, okay. I was like, Cecile was in the episode. I know
she was a key character. Yeah, no, she was doing the trial. She was representing Killer Frost.
Right. So. Okay. So it was the plot for this episode really was the trial for Killer Frost. And how did you feel about the trial, Dan? Because I actually was not too happy with it.
I got bored. I mean, it was one of those ones where I was like, okay, this much of the episode does not need to be the trial. Like that's kind of how I felt about it. It felt very cyclical as well. Like it was just constantly, oh, Killer Frost thinks this. Oh, Caitlin thinks this. Oh, they do this. And it was just back and forth. I'm like, okay, we all know where this is going.
The actress for Caitlin played both roles.
Yeah. I mean, this was her episode. Like pretty much entirely just her.
If any of my COVID social distance theories were true, this episode were to totally they literally had one actress just talking to herself for like half the episode.
They're like, how can we avoid putting too many people in here? Splits one person into two people. There we go.
The issue I had with the trial, and we'll go over the Barry Allen and the Fuerza thing in a minute, but the issue I had with the trial mostly was the fact that it felt like, I know everyone likes to call out, like, CW is doing very political backhanded stuff, and they're calling out Trump and all those other things. And I've never felt like, oh, it's super political, this just felt so on the nose when they started to argue about removing the powers. Because she kept saying things like, you can't change the way that I was born. This is me, and this is how I'm going to argue it. And it's like, I get the point of the powers, but it just felt like we're having a different argument here.
They even mentioned the argument that I'm sure you were also thinking of, the guns, where they're like, they constantly were talking basically gun control, of removing the firearms is equivalent to removing the powers, which I will say, I'm glad they made the argument of, well, no, because a gun isn't part of that person.
Right, which then turned into the argument of, well, this is who I am, and you need to accept it and deal with it. And I don't know, it just felt very on the nose, and at no point did they seemed to dodge a lot of the things that would tie it directly into the argument of powers, just to say things like, well, this is what I was born with, and people call me a freak, and it's just I don't know, it felt to me like they were reflecting on every 15-year-old emo kid's attempt to argue with their parents. And they're trying to relate
it to... Mom.
Yeah, it's not a phase. You can't just remove my powers, Mom. I can turn things into ice. It just felt very much along those lines to me. And I didn't dislike it, but I felt like the argument just... The argument wasn't interesting to me, but the way they were handling it was like sneaking in to try and get rid of the thing, discovering that secretly this person had a vendetta against villains. That whole part of the argument was great, but then whenever they would have Caitlin and Killer Frost debate it, I was like, I don't care. Like,
yeah, no, I'll agree with you there. It was a good point. I liked that they were saying like, no, this is a part of who I am. I like how they resolved it. Like, I thought it was a good way to very clearly get rid of the character. I mean, that's obviously
Sadly,
what they're doing with that.
It looks like they're trying to get rid of Killer Frost. They want to get rid of one of the powered people and just bring Caitlin back to being a scientist. And this was we thought, at least I did, the split was to keep Killer Frost. Yeah. No, it's to keep Caitlin. Like,
yeah, I have a feeling that based on the second part of this episode, which was mostly about the Speed Force and where that's going, I'm wondering if they got rid of Frost partly because her powers can slow down and can affect speed in certain ways. And they're like, you know what? We need to make this entirely Speed Force Flash. He deals with it kind of stuff, not, hey, we're also going to throw in that we have this character that could probably slow down the molecules in the Speed Force to the point that it would be able to be slow enough that they can do this and blah, 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 blah.
I mean, they've kind of made Killer Frost a little overpowered.
Oh, yeah, incredibly so.
That's what I feel like. I feel like as the seasons have gone on, she's gotten more and more powerful and can kind of stop everything. And she almost turned into like a MacGuffin member of the cast. Mm-hmm. Like, oh no, Barry can't stop anything. There's Killer Frost. Freeze. Yeah.
She's like, haha, I'm here. Ice spear. I've got knives of ice.
Which was really cool, but it was getting to the point where I feel like Killer Frost is almost eclipsing Barry. Mm-hmm. And so they would have to power up Barry to make it counteract and make it more of a Flash show. It was becoming almost like the Killer Frost show. They were doing a good job of not making it about her, but it was becoming that way simply because you would always be like, well, Barry's in trouble. Killer Frost is going to show up. Mm-hmm. Like, they removed Vibe's powers.
I was just about to say that it's very similar to Vibe, where they were like, you know what? Maybe having a character that can just literally open portals and appear wherever he wants. Maybe that's a little strong. And I feel like most other powered beings they've put in this show have run along those lines of, we start them off, we give them powers, we make them look awesome, then we realize, oh crap, that looks too awesome compared to a guy that can run really fast. We need to get rid of them somehow so that we can focus the show back on the Flash. Because like you were saying, a big problem with the Flash, he runs faster. Like in terms of TV show and TV magic and stuff like that, it's like you can have him run faster, but there's not as much oomph to it. And like you were saying, Frost started to eclipse him. She easily could have handled multiple villains just by herself.
I didn't even realize it was getting to that point until recently. A lot of the episodes, she was showing up as like, oh, him and Vibe are having problems. There's Killer Frost. Who was the villain that they just, wasn't the Sage Force user? They just fought somebody where Killer Frost showed up.
The Mirror Monarch?
Yeah, Mirror Monarch. She was like the MacGuffin to beat Mirror Monarch. She would just show up, take care of everything. It reminds me a little bit also of Wally, and I know Wally was removed because there was issues with the actor not getting enough screen time, and he wanted to back away from the project. But when they did bring him back, he was like the Speed Force monk. I'm so much better than Barry. Like, what? What do you mean you're so much better than Barry?
The monk thing, it did not fit the character.
No.
It just, that one felt so out of place, but that one's a topic all in and of itself.
Speed Force monks.
Speed Force monks, because...
So let's talk about how they treated Ferrerza. So just so you have reference, in the comics, she is fully aware of her powers. She has control of her powers, and she's using them to save the day. She's a superhero. The TV show version, she's unaware of her powers.
She's the Hulk.
She's the Hulk. Well, no, she's more Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
So the Hulk.
Kind of. I'd say it's more along Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, because the Hulk changes periodically. Sometimes not Edward Norton. Sometimes Bruce Banner will know that he knows what's happening. Sometimes he has control.
I can see
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde is a very definitive, when I change, I don't know. And that's where the Hulk started.
Multiple personalities.
Yeah, but he eventually turned into so much more. So she reminds me of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, but with the evil like strength powers. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting way to go at this, where she's going to lose control of the powers instead of just being a super strong sidekick to Barry, which is kind of what she became in the comics.
Right.
But then they killed her.
Well, killed her. Which
no,
okay. First off, I'm gonna just straight up say, when someone runs up to a body that's on the ground, barely touches them, and turns back and goes, "They're dead," I'm like, you didn't even check a pulse.
Look, I am not in the camp of screw Candace Patton, her acting is terrible, or any of that kind of stuff. I am not in that camp. I think they've done amazing stuff with Iris before people start attacking me on Twitter like the last time I had problems with Iris. But her acting was terrible. She phoned it in so hard. Like, she barely was in the episode, and then at the ending, it caught my eye right away when like the Speed Force starts moving, and it was like, Candace, act like you're about to be attacked. She's like,
right.
And I'm just like, what? And then she like scurries over to the body and just like, it doesn't even say anything. Like, I don't know if she wasn't feeling well. To me, it feels like it looked like she was sick on the day of filming, and they were just kind of like, just do with the bare minimum. And
see, I'm wondering if it was that or a director thing, because it also looked like she didn't know how to act. Like, it was almost like, because she knew that the Speed Force, that Nora was evil, that it was almost like she was having trouble acting like she wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
You saw what I'm saying, right? Like, there was something off about the way she was acting at the very end.
There's something a little off, for sure.
Because even running over to, I think her name was Alexa, not Feroza. I think her real name was Alex or Alexa or something like that.
Something like that.
Even when she ran over there, she did like the weird, like, it was almost comical because she did like the half steps you see in like parodies of this type of content. Mm-hmm. Like it was like I don't know if she was running in heels or whatever, but like that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of like a parody of someone running around in heels, like cluck, 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 cluck.
Right.
No, she's dead, but she didn't even say she's dead. She shook her head, which I found very weird. That she just kind of showed up. She didn't say anything. She seemed like she was underacting, and then just didn't say anything when it was dead. And then it was like, okay. It was just a very weird thing. I mean, I know the show has like 1 billion and 1 episodes to do. They're just trying to get through them. That's what happens sometimes, but
I will say I also had a slight problem with when they had the Speed Force interacting with the lightning thing, the lightning ball, because for a second there I was like, are they Speed Force doing this, or is this like at normal speed? Like
that was also weird, which may have affected Candace Patton's acting on this, where she was like,
yeah.
Are we doing like a slow motion thing? And they're like, just do this, just do it, we'll figure it out later.
Also, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be. I watched it the other day, so I could be wrong. But Nora shoots Fuerza. She gets knocked down. She's got the burn on her. Then the lightning ball thing happens. She's standing up again, gets hit by the lightning ball, and lands in the exact same position with the exact same burn. I'm like,
that whole scene, the acting and the cinematography and the editing just seemed off.
There was something off there. Like, there definitely was, because the rest of the episode
was fine.
It was, like they.
It wasn't a great episode. I think it's one of their weaker ones of the season so far, but it wasn't a terrible episode at all.
Yeah,
I didn't mind this episode. Just there was a lot of checking out when it was Caitlin with Caitlin.
Yeah, it became those scenes where you're like, okay, this is the one where I can kind of check Twitter while I'm watching because I know where this is going to go. It's standard stuff.
I also found it a bit weird. Not weird, I guess. Disappointing is a better word for it. It's just Speed Force is evil. Like,
Shocker.
That was it.
And
we've been calling it for, if this is episode 8, 6
when did
episodes.
she show up? Yeah.
I was hoping they weren't going to do that twist. Mm-hmm. And then to immediately kill Fuerza without even exploring the possibility of this character who can't control her power. I felt like it was such a wasted opportunity. I really do hope they bring her back, because you changed the character so that she couldn't control the monster.
Right.
There's so much you can do with that.
Plus, for the record, that actress was very good at, like, I really started to enjoy her. So when they killed her, I was like, no.
She's only been here half an episode.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like I mean, we'll see where the season goes with it, but I feel like they missed an opportunity there of just, they went way too much straight to just Nora / the Speed Force is evil. That is it. She is evil, where they very easily could have done it in a more, maybe she's evil, maybe she's not, when she started freaking out and then the Speed Force attacks because she's hulking out and she uses the excuse of, oh, I was protecting you kind of thing. But just doing
which
the
is
straight,
what they do.
I'm
Which is
evil.
what they do in the comics. The comic excuse is that the Speed Force freaks out because she's protecting. But she was like straight up like, "You're against me."
Yeah.
Like, you're not protecting anything now.
Yeah, I have not been entirely impressed with the Speed Force's acting.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's better with quick cameos now that she's kind of a cast member. I don't.
Yeah.
There's some. It's a little off.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say in a bad way. We're still on TV, so you get a little more allowances than if this was like the Ezra Miller movie.
Right.
I'm looking to see how many episodes are left, because it would make sense that they're speeding up like to this, like what I mean? Like,
because they missed the first 2 or 3
right,
episodes.
and they're cutting it down because it just strikes me as so weird to create this character with variations and make an interesting story behind her powers, only to remove her.
And like instantly too. Like there was really no separation from them getting her and then killing her. Like it.
According to the producers, we're gonna have the wedding again. I thought we had the wedding.
The wedding between who?
They want to see I guess the fans are stating that they want a vow renewal. Okay, that's the side of the fandom that I don't follow. Because I guess the original one was interrupted or something by a villain. The final episode count is still undecided. So, I don't know. I guess that probably means however many we can get done. Because, I mean, they're filming this in Vancouver, and Canada's having a lot of pandemic issues.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I felt like I feel like this was definitely one of the weaker episodes.
Yeah.
But
the problem I have with it is I feel like it was attempting to not be.
Right.
Like they were hyping up this whole trial of Killer Frost. She's going to make a stand. She's going to make a stand. She's going to make a stand. And I feel like they were trying it not to be one of the weaker episodes. And at the end of the day, it just feels like one of the weaker episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Current confirmation is they're aiming for 18.
Okay.
So 10 more.
10 more episodes. Okay. I think one of the bigger purposes I feel to the trial that I will say this was a good thing was the fact that it's quite clear that the trial's purpose was to remove the cure from being a punishment to metas. Like, I feel like this, like, almost, half of it was to go, hey, Killer Frost, you're a little too strong. Let's kind of put you on the back burner for now. Maybe you'll show up as a Suicide Squad member later or some weird cameo. You're a consultant or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like one of the big purposes of it was to basically go, hey, we know that there's a cure for the meta gene. We want to just clear it up right now that evil metas are not going to have their powers just taken away. Let's make it legally clear that that's not going to happen.
I think it was wrapping up that loose plot thread from way back when Vibe wanted to remove his powers. You know what I mean? So he made this whole thing.
And from was it last season? When like everyone started getting powers and they showed up to the police precinct and they were like, I want to get rid of it.
Yeah, I think it's the downside to the way that this show handled its powers. Because like in the comics, everyone just kind of has them and they all have their unique origins. And this one, it's like, well, you are given them by a mistake. So it's an argument to remove them.
Yeah.
I think I've never enjoyed the power removal plotline.
Me either. Honestly, it's the weakest, easiest cop out that it's just like, no. Like, it's just that's just way too easy to go, hey, you don't have powers now.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you.
I think that's basically it. I don't want this to turn into as nitpicking because I feel like if we keep chatting, we're just going to start to nitpick the episode.
We definitely will.
At the end of the day, I definitely enjoyed it enough to watch it. It's not like I was like, oh my God, screw this. And I'm excited for it to be back finally. What's your overall opinion of it, Dan?
I mean, like you said, It wasn't the best episode, but it also wasn't the worst. I just feel like there were
It wasn't the best of times. It wasn't the worst of times.
Exactly. I just feel like there was a couple bits where either the acting or the directing was a little off, and some parts that I feel could have been shortened. But
Yeah.
besides that, I thought it was a fine episode. I thought it was worth watching and I feel like it is going to have an impact, like an actual impact, both parts of it to the rest of the season and the Flash universe. So, what did you think?
Okay. I think the biggest problem I have with it is this is their return from the hiatus. I feel like the return from the hiatus should have been a lot stronger.
I feel like the return should have been a little more Flash and Speed Force, and then the later one, the trial.
Maybe the Flash show should have been about the Flash after he came back from a 3-week break, but...
Nah, who cares about that? We'll use the same person twice.
All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's review and analysis of Flash Season 7, Episode 8. I'm Benny. This is Dan. We'll see you guys next time right here.